Wrigley Field, but now the focus and the fun happens inside. A look from up above the home of the Chicago Cubs, Wrigley Field. And tonight, World Series game number 4, with the Indians up 2-1. And welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. The Hall of Famer John Smoltz is coming right up. So let's talk about the Cleveland Indians, huh? This is a team that did win their division by 8 games over the Detroit Tigers. A good ball club, but they got hit by the injury bug down the stretch. So people counted them out against Boston. They won 3 straight. Counted them out against a very dangerous Toronto club. They won that series in 5. And now here against the 103-win team, the Chicago Cubs, they're up 2-1 and won last night 1-0 in a thriller. And so, John, I'll welcome you in. It has been an impressive ride through this postseason for Terry Francona's bunch.
Yeah, they've almost been perfect, really. You talk about how they got here, only lost 1 game. They were not getting any respect. And all they've done is gone through Boston, Toronto, and they've had 2 shutouts against the Cubs. That is silencing some of the best offense in the American League and now the National League. You see the numbers right there. It's not all about pushing all the right buttons, although Terry Francona has done that. This is a team with a chip on their shoulder, and they believe they are going to be the world champs. They got their ace on the mound. They're putting a lot of pressure on this home crowd. Cleveland is in a nice position, especially if they can win 1 more game going home.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about Chicago now. This team did win 103 games. Their offense was consistent all year long. It's been an inconsistent offense. They were shut out over 2 of the first 3 games in the NLCS. They've been shut out over 2 of the first 3 games in this World Series, and they've swung at a lot of breaking balls out of the strike zone.
They have, and the formula that's worked for them in 162 games is not the formula they're seeing here. The discipline that the other teams and the game plans that they have been flawless. They're pitching them with a lot of off speed, and the Cubs have not hit any fastballs, so to speak. They have to be aggressive, and whatever it takes. It took a bunt in LA to get their offense going. Maybe something like that, a bloop, maybe a home run. They haven't hit a home run this series. Chicago, the pressure on Lackey, that's why they got him. They got to get the crowd in it early.
Let's see what happens. Well, the Indians are up 2-1. So I ask you, Vince Vaughn, Cubs fan, are you worried?
What's there to worry about? It's World Series. It's Game 4. We're here in Chicago. This is a secret ceremony when you become a Cubs fan that you can't talk about. It's a lifelong commitment and a powerful commitment. I tell you what's going to happen tonight. Cubs are going to get hot. They're going to get hot. They're going to hit. The pitching's going to be on. We're going to tie this thing up. Expect some souvenirs on Waveland. The W will be flying high.
Is sponsored by T-Mobile One. Welcome to Unlimited Baseball. What a scene, and they've been having fun in Wrigleyville, as they call it, all day long. It's now 60. Got to the stadium about 4.5 hours ago. It was in the mid-70s, and the wind is blowing in. Let's look back on how we got to 2-1 Cleveland in this World Series. Starting pitching, outstanding. Kluber was great in game 1. Tomlin good last night. The bullpen has been dominant since the beginning of the postseason. The win for the Cubs, Kyle Schwarber had a lot to do with when they won game 2. And the Cubs welcomed him back with a pair of RBI singles. On base 5 times over 2 games in Cleveland, but the DH is not available. Not medically cleared to play the outfield, so he's not available here at the beginning to Joe Madden. With all that said, before we set up the lineup and we set up John Lackey, let's send you down to Ken Rosenthal.
Joe, we've talked a lot about the Cubs' young talent, but the downside of that youth was evident last night. The percentage of pitches that the Cubs chased outside the strike zone was their second highest of the season, and team officials were still upset today about the poor offensive approach. The problem is, staying disciplined becomes more difficult as the urgency increases and slumps compound. The 5 through 8 hitters in the Cubs lineup tonight are a combined 4 for 36 in the World Series. And now, for more on the pitcher the Cubs will face, here's Tom Verducci.
Thanks, Ken. Well, you know, Indians manager Terry Francona has embraced a postmodern bullpen. His relievers have picked up 46% of the postseason innings, but when it comes to starting pitcher Corey Kluber, well, that's pure old school. Kluber is trying to become the first pitcher to win games 1 and 4 in the World Series since Jose Rijo back in 1990. Now, he dominated the Cubs in game 1. He threw only 88 pitches. Short rest? Well, in the footsteps of men named Gibson and Koufax, the Indians believe old school is back in session. Joe.
Tom, thank you, and thanks to Ken. They will cover different angles from down on the field as we look at the lineup for the Cleveland Indians. Different look tonight. Rajay Davis leads it off in left. Jason Kipnis and Francisco Lindor. In the middle, it's Carlos Santana, who's playing first base tonight. Jose Ramirez and Lonnie Chisenhall. The back end of it, Roberto Perez, the catcher. Tyler Naquin's been getting good swings this postseason. And Corey Kluber does the pitching, and he will bat ninth. And here's the right-hander, John Lackey. There are the numbers this postseason. He makes his 3rd start. He does not have a decision, but the Cubs have won both of his starts. The clincher in San Francisco round 1, and then game 4 of the NLCS out in LA.
Yeah, this to me was the difference maker in the offseason when they got him as a free agent from the St. Louis Cardinals. The depth of their rotation. The one thing, though, John Lackey's going to have to be better at. He was really good during the year pouring in strikes. Postseason has not been as good. He's been a little rusty with first pitch strikes.
Rajay Davis first up, 1 ball, 1 strike. Lackey has plenty of World Series experience. Won the decisive game 7 for the Angels over the Giants in 02. See the first pitch strike. Well, 1 up, 1 down.
Biggest thing for Lackey in just these moments, he will not be nervous. He will not be antsy. It's just a little bit of rust early on. He had to wait a long time to pitch. This is his 3rd time in the postseason. He has faced the Cleveland Indians a ton of times, of course, in the American League when he was over there.
So he won the clincher in 2002 for then the Anaheim Angels, and then in 2013 for the Red Sox, game 6 at Fenway Park. Now pitching with his team down 2 games to 1. Inside to Kipnis to start this at bat. Jason 2 for 12 in this World Series, but hitting just 167 this postseason. 1-0 pitch. By the way, we had Vince Vaughn give us some of his time today, and a reminder, he stars in Hacksaw Ridge, which opens November 4th. So Cubs super fan, and there are many of them in attendance helping us out tonight on Fox. 2 balls and a strike on Kipnis.
Now this Indians team yesterday put a ton of heat on Kyle Hendricks. He didn't break, and it only took 1 run to get the victory.
2-1.
That's kind of been the theme this postseason. It doesn't take much, but they found a way to limit the damage on the other side and get the 1 or 2 or 3 runs they need to win that particular game.
Contreras finishes the strikeout, 2 down. If you look at the defense for Chicago, this is how they started the postseason with Zobrist in left, Fowler in center, and Jason Hayward is in the starting lineup. Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, Javier Baez, and Anthony Rizzo on the infield with Wilson Contreras and his bounce behind the plate. Here's Francisco Lindor. So last night the wind was blowing out. A 1-0 game. Only the 25th 1-0 game in the history of the World Series. Tonight the wind is blowing in and the temperature is dropping as we go.
Yeah, there's no way you could predict what happened last night. Tremendous pitching. And this young man would like to make up for yesterday. Got picked off at first and hit a double play with the bases loaded. So you think he wants some revenge tonight.
Lackey can still bring it. He's 38. Just turned 38. That last pitch was 95. Extra rest for the 6'6", 235-pounder from Abilene, Texas. For coverage of this game in Spanish, please tune to Fox Deportes. Ball 1.
Well, you mentioned 6'6", so that extension that he delivers the ball gives a feeling to the hitter of an average fastball. A little bit faster is what the hitter sees it because he reaches out so far before he delivers the ball. So if you ever hear the term perceived velocity, that's what the hitter perceives it at. The actual velocity will be 93, 94 miles an hour, and it'll be a tick more when the ball actually gets to home plate because of his extension and release.
From 0-2 to 3-2 with Carlos Santana on deck. Lindor in a battle with Lackey.
Lackey has one pitch he loves to go to. It's a slider. It's a tough, biting slider that he loves to get to the back leg of the left-hander and, of course, pitch away from the right-hander batter. He's going.
3-2. Good start for Lackey. Sponsored by Bank of America. The great Chicago skyline. Weekend weather has been sensational. And that is a word that you could use to describe Corey Kluber in game one. Say this, he can't be any better. He was untouchable. He's 3-1 this postseason. And let's look at the lineup that Joe Madden has put together to deal with Corey Kluber. Dexter Fowler leads it off. Then it's Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo in the middle. Ben Zobrist, Wilson Contreras, Addison Russell. And on the back end, Jason Hayward making his first start since game 5 of the NLCS against the Dodgers. Javier Baez all the way down in the 8th spot. And then John Lackey batting 9th. Here's Kluber.
Well, he was fantastic, and what the Cubs are going to have to do is they're going to have to adjust. They've watched the video. They know what he did in game 1, and this is the one guy that's going to have to adjust because he saw a lot of fastballs and did not make contact. Struck out twice. Did Fowler.
93 from Kluber on short rest.
It's one of the few hitters that Kluber was throwing more fastballs than he did off speed. 6 times he took them, resulting in those 2 Ks.
Off the end of the bat, strike 2. Dexter Fowler so far is 2 for 13 in this World Series against Kluber. 0 for 10 with 7 strikeouts in his career. Here comes the 0-2. Just got a piece.
Well, the hardest thing to do in baseball is change your batting stance. Change where you stand in the batter's box because guys are so used to putting their back foot down and keeping the same stance throughout the entire year. So it's not that easy to say, well, you got to adjust because of his ability to take away his strength.
Cubs so far are hitting .202 in this World Series. 154 with runners on base. That's how good the pitching for Cleveland has been.
They just haven't made mistakes over the middle of the plate, and with the exception of one game, Bauer wasn't on his game. The Cubs were able to string together. They left a ton of runners on base, so they had traffic on base and won that game too. But games 1 and 3, masterful job.
Fowler flips at it, lifts it into left. Davis cannot make the catch, and Fowler's into second to start the night for Chicago. Before replays, our 4 keys to the game.
Well, for Cleveland, win the 5 innings. That's what they've done all postseason. But you've got to hit the fastball. Go down with a fight. And that's what Chicago did right there. Put it in play, got rewarded with a double. They haven't been able to hit the fastball all series. And right there, that looks like a defensive swing. That's what you want if you're a starting pitcher, to give up that kind of swing. But they got rewarded because the wind is blowing in. And making contact, you never know. It's just been a lack of contact for the Cubs so far.
It's a double for Fowler now. Chris Bryant. Bryant in his postseason career, and that covers last year in this, 357 with runners in scoring position. In this postseason, hitting .280 in this World Series, however, 1 for 11.
Now, they pitched him probably as tough as anybody in the lineup. Really throwing a steady diet of off-speed pitches. Only seeing 3 fastballs against Kluber first time.
Two and 0. That will not advance the runner. The wind will play with it a bit. Lindor. One away. Take a look at Cleveland's defense in the outfield. Rajay Davis came close to that. Turned into a double for Dexter Fowler. Tyler Naquin in center. Lonnie Chisenhall is in right. Around the infield, Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, Jason Kipnis, Carlos Santana at first tonight. Last night it was Mike Napoli, and Roberto Perez does the catching.
Well, you saw 3 straight breaking balls again, and this is becoming a theme. It's the 3rd time that they've had a runner at second base, and Kluber pitched his way out of each one of those by not even getting the runner to advance. So, yes, in the first inning, you want to hit and score as many runs as you can, but you also want to advance the runner and pass the baton on to the next guy so he can drive him in without a hit.
Rizzo, foul.
So far, I like their approach. They've been aggressive. The first fastballs they've seen, they've swung at them. You cannot get to 2 strikes against Kluber. He is awfully tough. In the regular season, only 121 average against. And you know the average is going to be low anyways because that's a pitcher's count.
The Cubs strike first.
Well, he didn't get the cutter in as much as he wanted. And this is the theme for tonight for the Cubs. Anyway, anyhow. He didn't hit it great, but he hit it in an area which results in an RBI. It almost looked like Rizzo was an inch or 2 off the plate. I can't tell for sure. Normally the space between him and the plate is very narrow. Maybe he made an adjustment right there. Nonetheless, the Cubs an early lead.
Now Zobrist. Center, Naquin back. The wind kills it. 2 out. And back to first is Rizzo.
Yeah, it's funny how good yesterday's game was pitched. We didn't see one of those. That is an automatic home run yesterday. But guess what? We ain't playing yesterday. And so when you think about Kluber and what is he going to be, or everyone asks on 3 days rest, you lose a tick on your 4-seam fastball, and that's about it. But that tick might be the difference for the Cubs squaring up a couple pitches that they weren't able to do in game 1. We'll see how the game unfolds.
But there's no doubt the wind just ate that ball alive. Now it's Wilson Contreras, runner at first, Rizzo, 2 out. Terry Francona thinks that Kluber will be better tonight than he was on short rest game 4 of the ALCS when he was a loser. Still pitched well. 5 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits. Lost that game 5-1 in the end. The only game Toronto won in that series. Strike 1 to Contreras because Kluber thought he was going to have to use his legs more. It's the only time he had worked on short rest. And he said he wore himself out from the waist down, and by the time he was in the 3rd or 4th inning, he thought, my stuff's great, but my legs are shot. So he thinks he's a little wiser this time around. See what's happened when either the Cubs or the Indians have scored first. It has led directly to end of game success.
Well, and the Cubs are going to have a lot of patience because they've been in this scenario. Think about what the Dodgers had to do. Limited in their starters. They came back on 3 days rest in the first part with Clayton Kershaw. Chose not to do it on his second start, but they did the same with Hill. So this is a scenario where if the Cubs can draw out this series and make the Indians work, maybe in the end the patience works and the 4 starters they have pays off.
Here comes the 0-2 to Wilson Contreras instead of check on Rizzo.
But make no bones about it, they have to beat the starter, because the likelihood of beating their bullpen if they're behind, we've seen the evidence of that already in the postseason. Cleveland has dominated out of the pen.
Miller, Shaw, and Allen last night. Terrific. Kluber on 0-2 to Contreras.
This is also a different lineup that Kluber is facing since game one. Of course, the DH, but no Schwarber. David Ross caught that game. You got Contreras in. You've got Hayward in. And you've got that number if he can get on twice and score 1+ runs, as you see.
Cubs are tough to beat. Have been this year. 1-2. Kluber won game 2 of the division series against Boston 6-0. Game 1 of the ALCS 2-0. Lost that game 4 on short rest. Won game 1 6-0 on Tuesday in Cleveland. Rizzo with a big lead over at first base, and Kluber just checking on him has not shown him a very good move to first yet.
No, he hasn't, and I think just keeping tabs over there, not letting him get to second with 2 strikes. Look, the Cubs, they can change their approach by sticking to their game plan of going the other way, thinking up the middle, going the other way, react to the pitch in.
There he goes. Pitch inside and a stolen base for Rizzo. His second of the postseason. Contreras strikes out, and Kluber limits the damage. Davis came so close on the ball hit by Fowler, and then Fowler brought home on a hit by Rizzo. And after 1 in game 4, Cubs lead 1-0. John Lackey with a 1-run lead. Second inning rolls in. Part of the order for the Indians: Santana, Ramirez, and Chisenhall. And with Carlos Santana up, a shift on in the Cubs defense. Play him to pull. Lackey wanted the pitch, didn't get it. Ball 1.
This is one of the hardest decisions Terry Francona had to make. Somebody had to play first base. Santana played left field last night, but first base tonight.
It was interesting that Terry Francona met with both pitchers before making out the lineup. Last night he met with Josh Tomlin to make sure it was okay with him that Santana made his first ever start in left field in his World Series start. Talking about Josh Tomlin, and tonight with his ace on the mound, he wanted his best defense out there. That's why Santana's at first and Davis is in left. That's inside. Ball 3, 3-1.
And you couldn't have worse circumstances condition-wise for a guy playing left field that we thought would come into play with fly balls and all kinds of maybe defensive laps. First play of the game, fly ball to him, and then it was smooth sailing the rest of the way.
3-1 pitch from Lackey. That's a strike and a full count. This crowd is revved up. High drive into right. Back at the wall. This game is tied. Santana. His first World Series hit. And his third home run of this postseason. 1-1. Typically the DH, Terry Francona, has to have his bat in the lineup, and that's why.
Easy decision so far, putting him at first base. Got behind in the count. Lackey trying to come back with sinkers.
Here's a ground ball to Rizzo off the bat of Ramirez to the bag, 1 out.
Didn't matter what the wind was doing. This ball was absolutely hammered. He knew it as soon as he hit it. Lackey knew it, and the crowd threw it back about as fast as it got there.
Oh, see ya! See ya! 1-1! That boy! With 1 out, strike 1 is into Lonnie Chisenhall. John Lackey had pitched over 136 career postseason innings and had allowed only 5 postseason home runs until that drive by Santana into the bleachers in right to tie this game at 1. Chisenhall now with an 0-2 count. Cleveland got 2 home runs from their number 9 spot, Roberto Perez, their catcher, in game 1. Those had been the only 2 home runs of this World Series until that shot by Carlos Santana. Here's the 0-2. Chisenhall over his last 6 postseason games, 1 for 20, trying to get on with 1 out for Roberto Perez. It has the aforementioned 2 home runs from game 1. Another 0-2 pitch from John Lackey. Left side. Bryant, what a pick. Terrible throw off the tarpaulin. And it's 1 on with 1 out. Bryant did the hard part, and then this ball just took off.
Yeah, you're right, he did do the hard part, and as he turned, this ball sails. See it almost threw a slider over there to Rizzo. Getting to it was the real hard part, and then as he whirled and threw, just didn't make the throw.
It's an error, and that's the third of the postseason for Bryant. Go-ahead run is on with 1 out for Roberto Perez. Postseason average better than the regular season average as he goes around on a pitch over the inside part, strike one. Perez had right thumb surgery, missed 2 months of the season. He has taken some of his best swings of the year here during the month of October. The number 7 hitter in the lineup. One ball, one strike.
Just amazed by the way the Indians, if you look at the beginning of the year, there are some people that really liked them as far as their pitching staff, dominant. Could they score enough runs? Especially after losing Michael Brantley, they did. It's almost been like next man up. Who's going to be the guy? Someone's going to get the big hit. Their best player right there gets hurt. We talked about it earlier, how it opened up doors for other guys. One bad moment created a good moment for somebody else. Gritty bunch.
Michael Brantley, John, only played 11 games this year, hurt his shoulder last September, and it just never really got healthy. That is a big piece missing in this puzzle. But here they are leading in the World Series 2-1, and a 2-2 count on Perez.
And really, they're the Rodney Dangerfield of this postseason because nobody gave them a chance. And here they are with a 2-1 lead against the Cubs.
With a manager, though, who knows how to manage this time of year. He is an asset for the Indians, Terry Francona. Possesses 2 championship rings. That is high and a full count. Lackey now trying to pitch around the error by Bryant. Good swing by Perez. Fans, stay tuned as we reveal the winner of the T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball contest later in tonight's game. Runner goes. And a comebacker to Lackey. Only play is at first. 2 out. Home plate umpire tonight is Marvin Hudson. Tony Randazzo at first base. Joe West is at second. Sam Holbrook over at third. On the left field line, it's Chris Guccione. And in right, the crew chief last night worked the plate, John Hirschbeck. Larry Vanover is in New York in the replay room. 2 out. Lackey shaking his head, and Tyler Naquin will be walked. An intentional pass being given to Naquin with Kluber on deck.
I mean, you have to do this, but you certainly always want the pitcher leading off if you can. Getting that 8th hitter out would be great. You can't take the chance with a runner on scoring position and Kluber, who doesn't get a ton of opportunities to swing the bat.
And Kluber on the mound. You can't play with fire if you're Chicago thinking, well, let's hope he gets the number 8 hitter. You fall behind the way Kluber's pitched this postseason, you may not make it up. So Naquin gets the walk. 2 on, 2 out, and here comes Kluber. The home run by Carlos Santana, the first World Series home run at Wrigley since the great Hank Greenberg of the Detroit Tigers off the Cubs' Ray Prim in Game 6, 1945. 7-game series won by the Tigers. And tied it leading off this second inning, and now 2 on 2 out for Corey Kluber. Ball 1 inside.
Lackey in San Francisco on an 0-2 count to Matt Moore with the bases loaded, gave up a hit to the pitcher. So you got to grind, you got to make the pitches, even though he hasn't had a lot of at-bats.
He did go 1 for 4 during the regular season this year, and obviously getting through the division series in the ALCS. This is his first postseason at bat. Lackey falls behind 2-1.
Yeah, you know, his arm slot has gotten lower this year, and so he gets more run on that fastball, that 2-seamer, and every once in a while he'll drop down even more. But this to me has got to be a little bit more honed in, especially to the pitcher. You've got to be able to command that pitch, and he's missing inside and just late with the arm coming through.
3 balls and a strike with Rajai Davis on deck, and the last one wasn't close.
Now when that happens, your arm's coming out and it's trailing your body. Your body's out in front of your arm. So you tell yourself, get my hand out quicker and accelerate through the middle of the zone.
How about Kluber cutting it loose on 3-1? This is the 9th hitter, and Lackey has had 5 3-ball counts.
And Lackey's been great in the regular season on 3-2, but he hasn't been as great in the postseason. He's walked more than he normally does and given up a few hits, and you saw that home run this inning on a 3-2 count.
29th pitch this inning. It's a 3-2, runners go. Kluber is getting a pretty good rip.
As good as Lackey's slider is, I mean, if he had the feel for it, that's the time you just spin a slider against a pitcher who's already shown you 3-1 he's swinging, 3-2 he's swinging, so he's not afraid to swing the bat. And you just prey off that aggressiveness that he's not going to recognize the spin on this next pitch.
Kluber hits it hard and foul past third. And he broke his bat.
See, if a pitcher gets to see, what, 7 straight fastballs, he starts learning how to time it, even in his own mind, and this one just gets fouled. That's why spinning a baseball right here, even though at 3-2, you got to have confidence you're going to locate your slider anywhere close to the plate, and Kluber will swing at it.
So it broke his bat, probably not his bat. Borrowing here in the World Series. Chops it third base side. Bryant safe. Here comes a run to the plate. Indians lead over to third, safe. 2-1 Cleveland on a chopper down the third baseline, hit by Kluber. It was another wide throw by Bryant. Rizzo trying to keep his foot on the bag and then could not corral the throw.
See how deep Bryant's playing. Kluber getting down the line pretty good. Do or die play. And a stretch by Rizzo, and that little right there, mishap caused the runner to keep going.
It goes down as a single. Second error on Bryant of the inning, and now Rajai Davis, strike 1.
And that was the pitch right there, a slider. Again, would have liked to see with the pitcher up. He would have had no chance.
So a single E5, no RBI for Kluber, but he put the ball in play. That misses from Lackey. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chisenhall, who reached on the first error in the inning by Bryant, came around to score. Naquin at third. Here's a ground ball to second. On a knee, it's Baez flipping to Russell. But after giving up 1 in the first, the Indians get 2 in the second and lead by 1. This tied it off the bat of Santana into right. And we go into the bottom of the second in game 4. Indians on top by 1. Sponsored by Chevrolet. More 2016 J.D. Power Dependability Awards than any other brand. And by AARP. Real possibilities. Bottom of the second. Cubs will bat down by 1. And here in the second, it'll be Addison Russell, Jason Hayward, and Javier Baez. Official caps, hoodies, jackets, and more. Celebrate with the latest postseason gear at MLBshop.com. Addison Russell, 1 for 11 in this World Series. And the Indians just took the crowd out of this game for the moment. Russell would like to get him right back in it. Strike 1. See the numbers this postseason. 1 for 20 here at Wrigley Field for Russell, who is fooled there, 0-2.
Well, I mean, that's what they've been doing to him. At some point, he's got to change the formula by hitting an off-speed pitch and laying off the ones that are really down out of the zone. Russell saw 5 of them off of Kluber last time.
That's in the air to right. Chisenhall has got it 1 out. And that means now in this World Series, the 5 through 9 hitters have a grand total of 4 hits.
Yeah, and that's part of the pitchability that we were talking about earlier in the series. When this Cubs team is not going well, you make the bottom of the order beat you. You do not have to pitch to Brian or Rizzo.
First start for Jason Hayward since Game 5 of the NLCS. Takes a strike. He is 2 for 31 this postseason. And in this World Series, 0 for 3. Hit .230 during the regular season. Simply put back in the lineup because of the defense he provides. And according to Joe Madden, with Lackey pitching, he wanted his best defensive outfield. And Hayward's a part of that. But what does he give the Cubs offensively as he falls into the hole here, 1-2?
Yeah, and that's the pressure that, you know, has been put on this lineup because we've seen the droughts, and luckily they've been able to come out of it with a rally, 3-run rally against San Francisco, or they would have been pushed to the brink in a 5-game series there. Of course, they came back against the Dodgers, down 2-1, and everyone was worried about when Kershaw would pitch. Would he pitch with that lead, and could he knock him out? Same scenario here.
1-2 to Hayward.
I know it seems simple, but at this time of the year, with everything on the line, you play differently, you pitch differently, you manage differently, you use your roster differently. And unfortunately, the hitters hit differently because they want to make something happen. They expand the strike zone more than they normally would.
That's outside, 2-2.
And not to mention, they're not facing any 4 or 5 starters for the most part. The 4th and 5th starters don't pitch that often. If a 5th starter never pitches, it seems like, in a postseason. So they're facing the cream of the crop.
2-2. Hard hit, right side, base hit. Hayward is on with 1 out. And his first World Series hit. Let's give you StatCast, powered by Amazon Web Services, and look at Lonnie Chisenhall's route to the plate.
He read it well, knowing that he could get off the bag as far as the third baseman was, and once the throw got away, everybody in that dugout.
And the reaction back in Cleveland. As they watch at Progressive Field, here it's 1 on, 1 out. Bottom of the second for Javier Baez.
You know, Hayward came in and pinch hit and hit a line drive to center field in Cleveland, then got that chopper that was tough to play. So maybe something can get going for him in what's left in this series.
Baez, double play ball, throw to second, out, over to first, safe. Baez Baez beat it by half a step. Kluber's walking away thinking that they turned to double play. And he's stopped by his catcher, Roberto Perez, for now. Well, that's why he's walking away. Kluber saw that live, had the best view of it. And it certainly looks like this is going to go down as a 5-4-3 double play. They'll look at it. And that's a clear look. As long as the right foot of Santana's on the bag, the Baez is out. So the crew chief, John Hirschbeck, is involved with the umpire who made that call over at first base. That's Tony Randazzo. Here's another look. This looks like clear and concise. But we'll wait. And he's out. Double play turned by the Indians infield. And after 2 in game 4, 2-1, Cleveland on top.
Pleasure to announce the winner of the Unlimited Baseball Contest.
And the winner of the T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball Contest and the winner of free trips and tickets to all the 2017 World Series game, the fans have spoken, #love, Michelle Orr. And by the way, we won't stop there. I want to give this entire section, all 127 of you, a free year of T-Mobile One service and a free new iPhone 7. Have a great night. Congratulations from T-Mobile.
We go into the 3rd inning in a 2-1 game. Cleveland on top, and Jason Kipnis is first up. Kipnis struck out his first time. Then Lindor, then Carlos Santana, who homered to tie it last inning. And then an unearned run scored to give the Indians a lead. This one is down into the corner. Well hit by Kipnis. It's a fair ball. Hayward digs it out, and that's a double to start this 3rd inning for Jason Kipnis, his 3rd hit of this series. Second extra base hit against John Lackey, and Joe Maddon has to be wondering how much he's going to get. He's going to get out of his number 4 starter, John Lackey, here tonight. Doesn't look good here early.
No, off-speed pitch after missing with a fastball. He thought that first fastball was a strike. Only 5 of the first 11 pitches for strikes.
Lindor, strike 1.
And Lackey's starting to bring in his curveball the second time around. He's been really primarily fastball, but we talked about that fastball has been, his two-seamer has been leaking. It has not been effective in the strike zone.
Well, Joe Maddon elected to walk Tyler Naquin last inning as Lindor chops another one foul to get Corey Kluber to the plate with 2 out. And Lackey fell behind him 3-1. Kluber then chopped one down the third baseline for a base hit, throwing error by Bryant that scored the go-ahead run.
You can see how hard Lindor's trying to pull the ball. He understands the importance of a man on third with less than 2 outs.
And the potential of a little cushion with regard to the lead for Corey Kluber. Out to talk is Wilson Contreras. The 0-2. Ball 1. Ken Rosenthal, how's that ankle for Kipnis feeling these days?
It's doing better, Joe. And you remember he injured it in the celebration after the ALCS. Earlier this series, he couldn't pivot off his back foot. He was giving out on every swing. But he told me today it's finally feeling better. He just needed some hits. Got one right there.
Yeah, he rocketed the ball into the right field corner to start this third inning. Now a 2-2 count on Lindor. That is foul. Well, we've talked about the Cubs and their ability to go 1 through 4 in their rotation. Third start this postseason for Lackey. In the other dugout, you've got a team and a manager that wants to go with their top 3 starters. So it brings Kluber back around, and he's matched up against the number 4 starter for the Cubs. That's inside as Lackey drops down, doesn't get the call, and it's a full count.
Well, that's why this is such an important start for the Cubs. You see the lower release trying to sink the ball back over the plate. And it goes around the plate. Looks close. Lackey would love to have had it.
Now the count's full. Lindor shoots one into right center field, a base hit. Fowler over to cut it off. In to score is Kipnis. It's 3-1. So from a near strikeout on the previous pitch, and there's Lindor, the 22-year-old, right in the middle of it with his first World Series RBI.
Well, we've seen the Indians make all kinds of pitches with 2 strikes. This kid was down 0-2, and they couldn't put him away. He's such way beyond his years, by the way. And then he takes the breaking ball, which he saw the first 2 pitches he was trying to pull, and takes it up the middle, shorter stroke, RBI. And you can tell when you know which club seems looser, and they should be, because they're up 2-1 and they're up 3-1 in this game.
3 of the 4 hits for Cleveland have come with 2 strikes. That includes a hit by the pitcher Kluber.
Well, everybody's letting the umpire hear it right now. The pitching coach, the catcher probably did, and Lackey did on his way to backing up home plate. He's giving him an earful.
That was for that 2-2 pitch that we showed you before the base hit into right center by Lindor. Nobody out in the inning. Lindor the runner. We'll keep an eye on him. So will the Cubs. At the plate, Santana. Strike 1.
About that.
First World Series home run by a first baseman here at Wrigley since 1932. The Yankees were here and Lou Gehrig hit it. That's outside, a ball and a strike. Santana pops it up behind the plate for Contreras. He's out of room. Just to finish the point about the pitching, the Cubs can go 1 through 4 with their starters, but if the other side can handle it, and in this case Corey Kluber can handle it, advantage Cleveland, and they've got their ace on the mound now against the number 4 starter for Chicago. They lead in the series and they lead in game 4.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why if they can win this game, they're guaranteed Kluber gets at least another start if they don't finish it off before that.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
On the other side, you don't want to put John Lester in a elimination game. So you know Lackey's trying to do all he can to keep it right here and hope his team can get hot offensively.
1-2. So far, Lackey's had a tough time finding that put-away pitch as action starts for the Cubs in their bullpen with Mike Montgomery. We're only in the 3rd.
That's the place to get Santana. He's got to get a breaking ball down that back foot.
Here's a 2-2. Struck him out. On a pitch down and away. Strikeout number 3. And Lackey's been looking for that pitch for a while now.
Off the plate, Santana earlier hit a pitch similar in that area for a home run, so he just went a little farther, did Lackey off the plate, and expanded the zone.
Batter now Ramirez. Jose grounded out to first his first time. Here's a throw down to first by Contreras as Lindor started to wander on the pitch, which was called a strike.
Yeah, Lindor starting to step out a little bit more and get a more aggressive lead, timing John Lackey.
Lindor 1 steal in this World Series, been caught 1 time. One and one.
Indians doing a great job keeping this crowd. You know this crowd wants to erupt. Keeping them in their seats.
1-1 pitch. Ramirez hits it to second. Baez out. Russell. Double play. But another run on the board for the Indians. They got 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd. Lead 3-1 after 2.5. Inside the Bill Veck creation. Manually operated scoreboard. High atop center field here at Wrigley Field. Great scene, a lot of noise early. The Cubs struck first with a run in the bottom of the first, but the Indians tied it, then took the lead. Lead by 2. John Lackey will lead it off. Strike 1.
Yeah, that double play was huge. Allowed Kluber to face the pitcher to lead off rather than the top of the order, resetting the batting order. Could have beat out that double play.
That's outside. Each side has turned out a double play. John's referencing the ball hit by Baez that went 5-4-3 to end the second. Lackey had 6 hits during the regular season. Up on the count here, 2-1. Two and 2. Pitch number 33 of the night is right down the middle, struck him out. Strikeout number 2 for Corey Kluber.
Well, early in this game, Fowler already established how they're going to try to attack Kluber, and that is do everything you can to put the ball in play. They were aggressive early off of fastballs. He gets in an 0-2 count, and then he works hard, fouls off pitch after pitch, and then does the little thing you have to do and barely gets it in play with a half swing. That led to the Cubs' first run. They're going to have to do more of that against Kluber, who now has been staked with a 2-run lead.
Talk about a guy pitching on short rest as he brings it home to Fowler. Strike 1. Kluber has picked up some quick outs. 3 outs have come on 1 pitch at bats, 2 more on 3 pitch at bats. So he has remained economical after throwing 88 in game 1. Here's the 0-1 to Fowler.
But the reality for the Cubs, and you never would think this way in a regular season game, but you look at the scoreboard and go, we've got 3 innings to do some damage, because now after the 5th, at any time they could bring in Miller, at any time they could bring in their bullpen. It'd be tough to score off of.
That's to first and right at Santana. 2 out.
And believe me, the crowd knows the same thing as they sit here hoping they don't have to sweat out a game, that they could have a big lead and get a breather going into tomorrow.
There he is. Manicure down in the bullpen for Andrew Miller, who has not allowed a run in 23 1/3 innings pitched in the postseason in his career. He's made 8 appearances this postseason. All 8 have been in Cleveland Indians victories. 8-0. 2 out, nobody on. Bryant, he's committed 2 errors, both coming in that 2-run second. And both coming because of wild throws.
The theme stays the same. Breaking ball after breaking ball after breaking ball to Bryant.
1 ball, 1 strike. Two earned runs, 1 unearned run against John Lackey so far. Here comes a 1-1. That's high for ball 2.
Kluber, as he did early, and does often, pounds the strike zone.
9 of 11 first pitch strikes. That's high and tight. Again, it's 3-1. Joe Madden goes to his young catcher, Wilson Contreras, for sending him back out there for the 4th. First time Kluber has run a count to 3 balls so far in this game. Full count.
I think that conversation had more to do how to deal with the umpire or talk to the umpire or just the way the strike zone is being portrayed. That and his pitcher and getting him back into the zone.
Three-two pitch. Just inside, ball 4. It'll bring in the tying run, Anthony Rizzo.
Well, I'd like to see this again. And it doesn't seem to be a top of the strike zone tonight. But it's been consistent, so pitchers know up there, not getting anything close.
Well, here's Rizzo, who has an RBI single and a stolen base tonight. Claimed to pull on the infield. Rizzo, so far 2 home runs this postseason, 34 total on the year. And led this team in RBIs with 109 during the regular season. See what's happened with the Indians pitching and the opponent's average with runners on base.
That's impressive.
161 in this World Series for the Cubs with men on. That's ball 2. Strike on the inside corner, 2-1.
Yeah, that's an easy go-to pitch for Kluber. He has such great feel for this slider. I mean, power, curveball, whatever you want to talk. It's an ability to spin the ball and keep it in the strike zone and not let any hitter get locked in no matter what the count is. 2-0, 3-1. He's gone to that pitch a lot.
That'll put 2 on as Rizzo's hit. And the guy who's been getting the best swings for the Cubs in this World Series, Ben Zobrist, hit the ball hard his first time. A ball that was knocked down by the wind in left center will be the hitter.
I'm going to tell you something. That hurt Rizzo. He doesn't mind getting hit. He's a big, strong guy. But that was nothing but meat on the wrong part of the elbow. You see he doesn't have any kind of guards. That hurt. The slow walk will tell you. It won't hurt as much if Zobrist hits a double.
Tying runs are on with 2 out. 3rd inning. Strike 1.
He'll go to work on off speed here. First pitch fastball low in the zone.
Ben's wife Juliana sang "God Bless America" tonight before the game. Beautiful rendition, and now after pointing to her husband on her way off the field, hoping the other half of this tandem, Ben, can come up with something with 2 on, 2 out. And here comes Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach for the Indians.
This 1-0 pitch Kluber threw tight slider trying to catch the part of the zone. Looked awfully good. It's a game changer on the way this scenario sets up. I don't think he'll deviate from going away from the breaking ball, but he's been making some good pitches.
Opportunity here for Chicago thanks to a walk and a hit batsman. Popped up left side, foul ball, out of play. Strike two. Game 5 tomorrow night at 8 Eastern. And a matchup of Trevor Bauer and John Lester. As the rotation turns back around for Chicago, and Trevor Bauer, the number 2 starter, who lost game 2, will go to work.
Sliders, if there's one pitch that gives Zobrist trouble against a right-hander, it definitely is the slider.
Kluber. Foul ball by Zobrist. Corey Kluber is 12-2 since the All-Star break with an ERA just over 2. Had an okay first half. He has been dominant since the middle of July. And so good this postseason. 3-1 with an ERA coming in of 0.74. Pitching on short rest, his 1-2 pitch. With 2 on, another foul. You see what Kluber has done. World Series game 1, he was electric. Ball jumping all over the place, 9 strikeouts. And so far this postseason, over 4 starts, that good ERA. And coming in had allowed just a couple of hits.
And Perez went to talk to him after that inside fastball that Zobrist was all over. Usually slow it down with a breaking ball in this scenario, or something away after getting a pitch in that he just pulled foul.
Here's a 1-2. That is a foul ball again. The hits have been spread out over all these starts, 4 of them. A total of just 17 hits allowed by Kluber, and 2 earned runs coming in. And here's that last pitch.
Well, Zobrist definitely sees the ball pretty good, and they're trying to figure out a game plan because he got 2 hits against Kluber in game 1, and he's had some good swings, and you mentioned the really good at bat. If it weren't for the wind, might have been a home run.
The 1-2 again. Good battle here with Zobrist and Kluber.
And that's what they got to do now. 53 pitches, quickly getting it back up there, making Kluber work real hard, even though it's been 2 outs. Those are the kind of added pitches that can have an effect in the next couple innings.
8th pitch of this at bat. Coming to Zobrist. Struck him out. And Kluber comes up with strikeout number 3. And the Cubs have now stranded 3. We've played 3. And Cleveland leads it by 2. 3-1. Into the 4th we go. The Cleveland Indians are doing it again. They took game 1 behind Corey Kluber 6-0. They lost game 2, but they won last night 1-0. And with Kluber on the mound here in game 4, lead 3-1 in the 4th now. Chisenhall flies one into right field for Jason Hayward. Chisenhall 0 for 2, but he scored a run, reached on an error back in the 2nd. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Taco Bell. Steal a base, steal a taco, only at Taco Bell. And by Verizon. Join a better network because better matters. With 1 out, nobody on, Roberto Perez will bounce back to the pitcher his first time. Stands at the plate. Bunts. Back to Lackey. 2 quick outs.
Well, that helps because Lackey knows the leash is short now. More than likely next inning, if his time comes up at the plate, he's going to be pinch hit. And if anybody were to get on or traffic on the bases, they've got the bullpen ready. So you never like being in a situation if you're a pitcher knowing you don't have much longer, but make it your best inning and see if you can have your team rally.
It was Tyler Naquin who drew the intentional walk in the 2nd in a tie game. It put a couple of men on with the pitcher Kluber at the plate. And the problem for Lackey was he fell behind. Fell behind 3-1, ran the count full. Kluber eventually put the ball in play, chopped one down the third base line. Bryant made a throwing error, and the go-ahead run scored.
Yeah, it's not that you get lazy and fastballs against the pitcher. He just didn't locate and worked himself into seeing about 7 or 8 of them. Did Kluber in the perfect swinging bunt.
That's strike 2. Tom Verducci, what are you seeing down there field level?
Well, John Lackey is losing the battles he normally wins. During the season, he held batters on full counts to a 103 batting average. 2nd lowest in baseball, just 7 such hits all year. Tonight, he lost 3-2 battles 3 times. Santana, Kluber, and Lindor, which have accounted for all of Cleveland's runs.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Naquin. Chicago in the bottom of the inning will have Contreras, Russell, and Hayward. If anybody gets on, Javier Baez. 2-2. Inning over. Strikeout number 4. And the bottom of the 4th will roll in. Chicago coming up down by 2. Back to the World Series on Fox. Tonight's telecast is presented by T-Mobile One. Bill Murray saying, "Take me out to the ball game last night." John Hamm is back with his St. Louis hat on. Eddie Vedder, a frequent flyer here at Wrigley Field. The Hawk, Andre Dawson, in attendance for Game 4. I mentioned him during the NLCS. There's Jason Patrick, star of Wayward Pines on Fox with his son Gus. Two best buddies checking out Game 4 of the 2016 World Series. It's a 3-1 game. And Kluber has stranded 3 runners, struck out 3, walked 1, hit a batter. Deals with Wilson Contreras to start the 4th. Strike 2.
Even Kluber's pitches that aren't called for strikes are close. He's making a lot of good pitches tonight. He started this inning 54 pitches, 23 fastballs, and 22 curveballs. So the theme continues. 9 sliders, so more off speed than fastballs. It's been hard to pick out. They've missed a couple fastballs, have the Cubs. You're not getting many against Kluber.
Inside corner, struck him out. And Contreras with, I'm gonna say, mild protest. Maybe not so mild by the time he ended up turning and going back to the dugout. Strikeout number 4 for Kluber. With the bases empty, the batter will be Addison Russell. Russell lined out to right his first time.
That pitch is so tight. He's got the bigger version of it, and he's got the smaller version of it. But it just hugs around the strike zone.
Left side, foul ball. As Ramirez got to it, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And there's so much pressure on the hitters when you don't feel like you're going to get a lot of fastballs. There's one right there, and he may not get another one this at bat. So Russell, who struggled with the breaking pitches, big leg kick, and swings over the top of a lot of them, has to hit a mistake.
Kluber has not made many. The 1-1.
And there was one. There was one he could have handled. Russell would like to have back. This pitch is supposed to be away, and watch how it spins over the middle of the plate. Big swings against a guy like this. You're doing him a favor. You're doing Kluber a favor if you go up there thinking you're going to hit a big ball or a long home run type swing.
Just sticks the bat out into center field, easy for Naquin. 2 out. And so far, Kluber is doing in Game 4 what he did in Game 1, although he allowed that first inning run on a bloop double into left. And then a soft liner into right center field off the bat of Rizzo. A short-lived lead because the Indians came back with 2 in the second, 1 in the third, and lead 3-1. Here's Hayward. Jason singled sharply through the right side under the glove of Kipnis back in the second.
Can I also say how impressed I am? I cannot believe that many people are sitting in an outdoor stadium back in Cleveland watching this game. That is like really impressive.
It's just fantastic for an organization, very proud organization. Here's Hayward. What a rocket to Lindor, and he can't make the play. And Hayward, who gets the surprise start for his defense, is 2 for 2. But yeah, you keep hearing about the Cubs haven't won since 1908. The Indians haven't won it all since 1948. They lost in 95. They lost in 97. And they lead here 2 games to 1 and up 2 tonight.
Yeah, that was a very difficult play for Lindor. We've seen his glove work and his magic. And again, since the line drive to center field in Cleveland, when Hayward came in, he has put the barrel of the bat on the ball, and now 2 hits to show for it.
Well, here's Javier Baez hitting in the number 8 spot. He's been doing a lot of that. That's the old Javier Baez.
Yeah, the front side flies open. The leg kick gets a little bigger. And you can expand the zone on this young man down and up. In between, you're in trouble. You keep the ball down. That first move of what he's trying to do just doesn't work. Fastball up. We saw it to Cody Allen. Of course, that's a different animal. He throws 96 with a power curveball.
Baez with a count of 0-1. Hayward takes off on a foul. Strike 2. We've talked about it during the postseason about Javier Baez and his travels through this lineup for Joe Madden. Settled into the number 7 spot. Was doing damage down there. Moved up to the number 5 spot. Some of these wilder swings have dropped him further and further down to where tonight he's hitting 8th. He made the final out last night on a strikeout with 2 men on in the 9th.
Trust me, these young players for the Cubs, not only are they going to get better, they're going to learn a lot through this experience.
A strikeout ends the inning. With Hayward running again, and that'll do it for the first 4 in Game 4. The Indians up in the series and up tonight, 3-1. Back after this from your local Fox station. First up in a 3-1 game, 5th inning of Game 4. Lackey, Kluber, and Kluber, as said a couple of times already, did himself a favor and the Indians a favor just by putting the ball in play. Back in the 2nd, and went for an infield hit. Throwing error on the back end of it, which allowed the go-ahead run to score as Bryant came on. As it trickled away from Rizzo, Chisenhall scored to make it 2-1. It's now 3-1.
Little things. That's what Cleveland keeps doing, even when it seems like it's a harmless swinging bunt. We saw that in Game 1 off of Lester. We saw the hit batsman to score the 2 runs, and that game behind Kluber basically was never in doubt again. And tonight, same thing. Miscue in the field, another swinging bunt, and another error.
Well, John Lackey is due up first for Chicago in the bottom of this 5th inning. So you'd have to think that this will be the last frame if Lackey can get through it. He has yet to go 5 this postseason. 2 balls, 2 strikes as he misses up and in.
Again, I just don't know why he's reluctant to spin a ball against a pitcher who's not been up there very much. All fastballs. Kluber's hanging in there. There we go.
Struck him out. 5 strikeouts for Lackey. Shot from across the street on a rooftop here at Wrigley Field. Sheffield out in right. Waveland out in left. This neighborhood has been buzzing all weekend. They were out here early today.
Well, the anticipation and the arrival has not met the excitement once they've gotten here. They have been wanting to erupt, and in the first inning, that was the loudest they've gotten, because that's the only run they've gotten here at home, and then quickly subdued by the home run by Santana.
Here's Rajai Davis, who's 0 for 2. Left side, Addison Russell. 2 out. You know, Joe Madden talked about how good his defense was last night. He said, yeah, I'm really pleased with the way our defense has played this postseason. Then he knocked on his desk and said, hopefully it'll be good tonight. A couple of errors played against the Cubs in the 2nd by the outstanding young player Chris Bryant, who now has 4 errors this postseason. Here's Kipnis. Another one to Russell. And Lackey gets through 5. Bottom of the 5th inning, halfway through game 4. Cubs coming up, down by 2. The fifth inning, 3-1. Terry Francona's Indians leading the game and the series 2-1. You look at the average by the series since the division series last year, and the men left on base 33.
Throw ball to center fielder right here. Come on.
Pinch hitter will start it. It's Coughlin off the bench, hitless this postseason. Dealing with Corey Kluber. Ball one, down and away.
Yeah, you got to have the mindset now because they know what's at stake, right? You're here in the bottom of the fifth, and typical bullpen fashion for the Indians, you got to get one guy on at a time, and you got to make it difficult. That has been very difficult to do off of Corey Kluber.
Well, Coughlin got the start in game 1 in Cleveland against Kluber and struck out twice. There's his regular season, 1 home run, 16 RBIs. It's just a 2-run game, but with the way Kluber is pitching, feels like there's more of a margin as that one misses for ball 2. The night for Lackey, 5 innings, 3 runs, just 4 hits, 2 earned runs. 1 walk that was intentional, 5 strikeouts, and a home run. In the air to left center field, Naquin to his right. It slices to Davis, who makes the catch with Naquin flashing behind him. 1 out.
Well, you see Naquin, usually center fielders have the final say, but Davis cuts in front of him. Ball definitely coming back more towards Davis. Davis has played some center field, so he knows.
So 1 down here in the 5th inning, back to the top of the lineup, and it's Dexter Fowler, who's 1 for 2. Doubled in the first, scored on a 1-out hit by Rizzo. High fly ball into right. Back in front of the track. 2 down. And with the wind blowing in, the elements certainly didn't help. As Fowler drove Chisenhall back to just in front of the track.
That's a good swing by Fowler, a slider that kind of stayed in the middle of the plate, but you saw the wind right there. High fly balls definitely affected. More of a line drive and power fly ball will get out of here. The gaps at 368 are not that big, and that's where most of the action happens around here for home runs.
Here's Chris Bryant now 0 for 1 with a walk. Ground ball. This is Kipnis on the other side of the bag to end the inning, and 3 outs in a blink, picked up by Kluber, who's through 5 in game 4, leading by 2.
Hold up 2, right?
Tonight, we once again join our partners Stand Up to Cancer in reaffirming a commitment to the fight against cancer. Since 2008, Major League Baseball, its fans, players, and coaches have delivered a powerful, determined message that we together will defeat cancer. Because of your support, Stand Up to Cancer scientists are making real progress in real time. Please join Major League Baseball, MasterCard, Fox, and the entire baseball family as we stand united and steadfast against cancer. Visit standuptocancer.org to find out how you can help today. We'll take a break, and when we come back, it's the 6th inning of Game 4. Indians will bat, leading by 2. Sponsored by T-Mobile One. Welcome to Unlimited Baseball. We'll give you our game summary. It's sponsored by Bud Light. Santana tied the game. Carlos hit a home run in the 2nd inning leading off. That made it 1-1. Chris Bryant with 2 errors led to an unearned run for the 2nd tally in the 2nd. And runners in scoring position this series, Cleveland's been better than Chicago. Mike Montgomery's the first one out of the bullpen for Chicago. Lackey again, 5 innings. 3 runs on 4 hits, just 2 of the runs earned. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and this is the AT&T call to the bullpen. Montgomery, this is down and into Lindor.
He's been good, and he has that fastball curveball combination with occasional changeups.
Here's a 1-0, 2-0. The Indians tonight have switch hitters at their 3, 4, and 5 spots in their lineup. It's the first time in World Series history that's been the case. It certainly gives Terry Francona a lot of versatility in the middle of this order. It's the 2nd time in postseason history when the Cardinals in '87 during the NLCS Game 2 had Tommy Hurd, Terry Pendleton, and Willie McGee in a series against the Giants. Lindor takes ball 3.
Well, for Lindor and Ramirez, there isn't much difference, but the next man on deck, certainly from a power standpoint, would much rather face a right-hander than a left-hander, so that's why Montgomery's in.
Here's a 3-1. Fouled back, full count. Francisco has a hit in this game and has 6 in 13 at-bats. all-important number 3 spot. He draws a walk. That's the first unintentional pass handed out to the Cleveland Indians tonight. Back in the second inning, Carlos Santana. Statcast powered by Amazon Web Services as Carlos Santana powered one out of here into right.
Yeah, he sure did. You saw where the location was supposed to be, and you saw where the pitch ended up. I think Francona and all the agonizing and trying to decide what to do in tonight's lineup, it's got to feel a lot better already. Just with Santana at first. And the home run.
Funny story with Francona, and maybe it gives you a little peek into what kind of a manager he is. He knew that Mike Napoli was going to be mad at him when Napoli got to the park and found out he wasn't in the lineup. So Napoli's sitting out at the table in the clubhouse, and Terry Francona walks out and he says, "All right, Nap, I know you're mad at me, but we're going to play cribbage." That's Terry Francona's game of choice. It always has been in a major league clubhouse. And he sat down and he said, "Mike started talking to me by the second game of cribbage that we played. He said he'll be fine about the time he pinch hits later tonight." He's got an ability to manage grown men and make them all pull in the same direction. That's inside. They count 2-0 on Santana.
Yeah, he sure does. And having a chance, I got a chance, just a brief 2 months, spend time with Terry when he was the manager of the Red Sox. Same scenario, same loose ball club.
That is knocked down by Montgomery. Throws wide open first, 2 on with nobody out. And Rizzo almost got Santana too far off the bag. It's a base hit. Another rocket hit by Santana, and somehow Montgomery got his glove on it.
When this happens this fast, he has more time than he realized when he got the ball right there. But nonetheless, an incredible effort after the glove gets completely taken off. Santana scurrying back to the bag.
So opportunity here for Cleveland, already leading by 2 with Kluber on the mound, a loaded bullpen to take a commanding Game 4 lead. It's 2 on with nobody out. It's Jose Ramirez coming up. It's Justin Grimm getting loose for the Cubs in their bullpen, and this is a tight spot for Chicago.
Ramirez has already shown he can handle the bat with a bunt. First and second, nobody out. Almost a classic bunt situation, even though you're up 3-1.
Montgomery, the second, out over to first, not in time. First and third, 1 out. Lindor to third. And the batter will be Chisenhall.
They got aggressive on the first pitch and hit it right back. Because of the speed, Ramirez beats it out.
Here comes Joe Madden now jogging out to talk. Body language tells you he wants to talk about what to do defensively here with first and third, 1 out, and the left-handed hitting Chisenhall coming up.
Montgomery hasn't broke out the curveball, so you would think he's got to break out the curveball here against the left-hander. And then if we're able to get the left-hander out without a run scoring, that's when I think you're going to see Grimm come into the game. So once again, the Indians have put heat on the Cubs since they've arrived here in Chicago. Base runners, pressure, and a calm crowd. Nervous crowd.
Indians trying to take a 3-1 series advantage. Have first and third, 1 out, up by 2 in the 6th. 3 wide throws to first base and factored in by the Cubs here tonight. Here's a bunt, throw down to third, safe. as Lindor gets back. That was in the category of a safety squeeze, and Lindor almost went too far.
Yeah, I just don't understand Chisenhall's approach there. If it is the true safety squeeze, you don't have to be moving and try to bunt it like a base hit. All you've got to do is place it down. Lindor will read that, and he's got the opportunity to score if he likes where he sees it. So really just not good execution by Chisenhall. Even though it was a breaking ball, you square around.
Cubs looked at it, decided they wouldn't challenge it. Strike one.
It is the greatest play in baseball that very few teams utilize. Why? Well, it's not that easy. People will say, yeah, you just practice bunting. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. It's an indefensible play, first and third, when you put the heat on the infield because they can't.
Here's a smash into center. That will get Lindor home. Tagging, scoring. It's 4-1. Chisenhall delivers the RBI on the sac fly into center. And Cleveland adds to its lead here in the sixth. The lead is 3. The Indians just keep executing. Here's a throw down to first. Safe is Ramirez. It's the speed of Ramirez that beat the relay by Baez at second to avoid the double play, and that leads right to the sac fly to center. Here's a throw over as Ramirez was leaning a bit. Roberto Perez. And had him leaning even further.
They had Rizzo leaning.
Waiting on a 1-0 pitch to Roberto Perez. Ball one. Last night a 1-0 win for Cleveland. Tonight they lead it 4-1. They've done all the scoring since a first inning run for Chicago. That's ball 3.
Well, they've won all the battles. You know, in other sports, in football, it's the 50-50 balls. In basketball, it's who's going to get the turnovers. In football, and the 3-2 count is similar in baseball, and tonight they couldn't do it on the pitching end with Lackey. And every 3-2 count, or every situation that there's an opportunity to make something happen, the Indians have won in that battle so far in this series.
Second walk of the inning. It'll put 2 on with 2 out. Naquin is the scheduled hitter, but Terry Francona is going to go to his bench, and that could force a pitching change. It'll be Geyer. Brandon Geyer, the right-handed hitting outfielder, and we'll see if that means Joe Madden pops out and brings Grimm into this ball game. That'll be it for Montgomery, as Cleveland is added to its lead. RBI and a sac fly by Lonnie Chisenhall. Frustrating night for the Cubs. The visitors having all the fun again. A chance for more. Up by 3 in the 6th. Weapon yet, you should definitely check it out. The entire hour, a nonstop thrill ride. Lethal Weapon, Wednesdays on Fox. Clayne Crawford, Jordana Brewster here, star in Lethal Weapon alongside Emmy Award nominee Damon Wayans. Here at Wrigley Field, where there is plenty of tension in the seats. Down on the field, it's a 3-run Cleveland lead, a chance for more. 2 on, 2 out. Brandon Guyer off the bench. Strike 1 from Justin Grimm, who came on in last night's game and got a double play ball with the bases loaded, 1 out in the 5th.
Yeah, this must seem like a breeze compared to his first one here at home. Not much room for error, and did a great job coming on with first and second for 2 outs.
Here's the 0-1 from Grimm. Inside part, strike 2. Part of the order bats for Chicago in the bottom of the inning against Corey Kluber. The 0-2. High fly ball in the air to left. In the corner. This ball is foul. That ball just shoved out of play as Guyer gave it a ride and Zobrist ran out of room.
Be a little bit better with that 0-2 breaking ball, and Guyer was ready for it. See how it backs up instead of takes down and takes that turn away from the right-handed hitter. This one backs up right into the barrel.
Runners at first and second, 2 out. The 0-2. He went around and the strikeout ends the inning, but the Indians get another run on a set fly by Lonnie Chisenhall. That ends the top of the 6th. Heart of the order coming up for Chicago, down 3. Welcome to Unlimited Baseball. Tonight's T-Mobile One in-game box score for Chicago. Hayward has 2 hits. Rizzo with a single, a stolen base, and RBI. Dexter Fowler led off this game in the bottom of the first inning with a double, scored a run on the RBI hit by Rizzo. Back to work is Corey Kluber, and he's got a big safety net getting ready for Cleveland out in their bullpen, and Andrew Miller. Here's Rizzo. High fly ball into left. Back at the wall. It is off the wall. Rizzo's got a double to start the 6th.
Well, it's the first pitch, swinging fastball, something I thought they could do a little more of. And normally this ball is gone. But the wind kept it in. Great try in left by Dyer. Kind of no look and seeing if he could get it in the glove. But coming into this inning, 72 pitches, 28 fastballs, 30 curveballs, and 14 sliders. So not many opportunities to hit fastballs. There was one of them. Game 1, this was an absolute clinic. Sinker, sinker, getting all the called strikes you can get. And just absolutely dominating. And then for tonight, he expanded it with the breaking ball. 2-0, it didn't matter. 2-2, he's going to throw more breaking balls than fastballs. And every at-bat pretty much seems like the breaking ball was the equalizer for this Cubs lineup. And certainly they're hoping to scratch a couple, if nothing else, a run to get closer, get that run back they just gave up.
Game's only in the 6th inning. You saw Geyers in the game and left. That moves Rajai Davis to center. There's first pitch swinging by Ben Zobrist, strike 1. Alex Rodriguez is with us from the pre and post game set. What are you seeing out there from Corey Kluber? What makes him so hard to hit?
Well, I mean, he's been wonderful the last 2 starts. You know, of his 9 strikeouts last time out, 5 of them were looking. That tells you more about his movement than his location. He can get both righties and lefties equally right out. But the one thing that may make him a little bit tougher against lefties is that hit ball that he throws, just like Greg Maddux, except it's 5 miles per hour faster. And he has a wipeout slider to boot.
Yeah, well, we've seen some of these Cub hitters offer at pitches they don't normally go for here in this series against the Indians.
You know, Joe, October is really a contest of who can manage their emotions best. John Smoltz was one of the best. That's what made him one of the, you know, big-time October pitchers. For me, I wasn't so good at controlling them. These guys got to get the emotions under control.
Here comes an 0-2 to Zobrist, runner at second, and a high fly ball to left. Geyer coming on to get it. 1 out. Anthony Rizzo stays at second. We're watching Andrew Miller, Alex Rodriguez, get ready out of the bullpen. You started this season with Andrew with the Yankees. What makes him so tough to face?
Well, a little bit like Corey Kluber. He can get righties and lefties out equally. He's actually a little tougher on righties, in my opinion. And the more you see him, the better he will get. I was a little concerned with the 6-day layoff. And yesterday, he was right back to being himself. He was awesome.
Alex, thanks. So now Wilson Contreras with a runner at second, 1 out.
It's just another case now in this series. Man on second, lead off, and they haven't moved him. You want to get hits, and I get it, but you also have to find a way to get the right outs. And the right outs would move the runner over into position to scratch closer. Corey Kluber has worked out of the first game, man on second, nobody out. And he's done it already this game. He's just pitching accordingly to the Cubs' aggressiveness and not discipline.
Another swinging strike for Contreras, who has suddenly gone ice cold, 1 for 11 in this World Series. And that might accent the point you just made with Zobrist not getting the hit but not advancing the runner. Rizzo at second, 1 out. 0-2 the count on Wilson Contreras. Struck him out. And chasing a breaking ball down and out of the strike zone. That's strikeout number 6 for Corey Kluber.
Well, it's just good matchups, right-handed hitters for the Cubs and the young right-handed hitters expanding the zone, wanting to make something happen. That's just nowhere close, and that is just pressing. And when you press, these are the things that happen. It's also the things that'll make you learn as time goes on in your career how you felt under these pressures and how to respond to it the next time you're in the situation.
Addison Russell now. Contreras has struck out 3 times tonight.
I mean, that's just what you have to do right there. Even if that pitch is so good and it fools you, it's a good take because there's nothing you're going to do if you hit it. Now, as a pitcher, you go, I'll bet you can't lay off that if I keep throwing it right there, because I'm going to guess that you can't stay disciplined for 3 of those pitches.
Well, prior to that take by Addison Russell, the Cubs had swung at 10 straight pitches. And Kluber is 1 out away from pitching around that leadoff double that Rizzo hit off the very top of the wall and left under the basket to start this 6th. Cubs ask for something from their young shortstop. By the third baseman Ramirez, and another strong effort by Corey Kluber, who is through 6 innings tonight on short rest and dominating. Indians up by 3. Back after this from your local Fox station. The 7th inning, and Corey Kluber's night is finished, and he was terrific again. He goes 6 tonight, allows 1 run on 5 hits. Batting for him is Coco Crisp, and he takes a strike. In the walk department, only 1 struck out 6, hit a batter. He is pitching like an ace.
Yeah, and if you don't think they had a game plan team-wide, 37% fastball is his lowest in any game this year. That's just reading the information, taking it in, and executing. And the Cleveland Indians so far, pitching-wise, to their offense of the Cubs, not showing any cracks.
But that statistic for a guy who's been at it for a long time turns 37 in early November 1st. That's a pitch down and in. Justin Grimm, ball 1. Coco Crisp is on that stat, got the only RBI last night, a pinch hit single to right center field to score the 1 run. Michael Martinez. Travis Wood getting loose.
Yeah, man.
As it's getting late in game 4.
You know, just as much as it takes a pitcher to be, I don't know, low heartbeat, have his finesse stuff, be able to throw the pitches he needs to pitch to execute. The same thing for a hitter, to trust that he can be patient and look for one area and not expand. I've known guys that could say, I'm taking the first pitch. And they go up to a postseason game and they say they're going to take the first pitch and they swing. Because something happens when they get in there, and wanting to make something happen for their team, they can't stay disciplined because the pressure of the moment wins out. Well, Corey Kluber didn't look like he had any pressure on him at all.
Crisp checks his swing, 2-2.
And until you've gone through it for the very first time, even though they've had the Division Series and NLCS, and you get this postseason experience, it is the World Series. It happens. You get anxious.
Here is a 2-2 pitch. Tom Verducci, what are you seeing down there?
Well, the Cubs thought it was advantageous to see Corey Kluber a second time. You saw early in the game they made some adjustments on that 2-seam fastball getting off the plate. The problem is they saw a different Corey Kluber. 2-seam heavy in game 1, breaking ball heavy here in game 4. So when teams see Corey Kluber a second time, his ERA actually goes down a full run. And guys, I love the comparison Mickey Callaway made to Corey Kluber, not to a baseball player, but to the golfer Bubba Watson, because Corey has such an ability to shape the ball. He's better off moving the ball with the 2-seam fastball and, of course, spinning the baseball.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Coco Crisp having a good at bat now after falling behind. This one into center field, falling in a hurry. Under the glove of Fowler for a hit. And Crisp digging for second. He will make it. Hustling out of the box, and Coco Crisp has a double.
Well, another 3-2 count that the Indians have gained the advantage. Coco knows as soon as he hits this ball out of the box, he's thinking 2, because if this ball drops, well, maybe he wasn't thinking 2. But nonetheless, the late hustle gets him in there once the ball got by Fowler in center field.
You can see Fowler got there, but although he ticked it with his glove, couldn't make the catch. Now Rajay Davis shows bunt as Grimm spins and looks back at Crisp at second. So another successful pinch hitting appearance by Coco Crisp. Here's a pitch that gets away, and over to third goes Crisp. That'll likely be a wild pitch. It almost got Rajay Davis, who had to drop the bat. It's a wild pitch. Runner at third, nobody out.
Well, good thing he got the bat out of the way. This allowed the runner to get over to third. You see Davis spinning out of the way. Couldn't believe the pitch was that far inside. Now the Cubs are going to have to play the infield in. They can't afford any more space between that 3-run deficit.
Runner at third, nobody out. 1 ball, no strikes on Rajay Davis. And he gets hit. Sounded like, it looks like by the reaction from Davis, that got him on that guard on his left arm. And it did. Travis Wood is in the bullpen. Jason Kipnis is coming up, and Wood will enter. Runners on at the corners, nobody out for Cleveland in the 7th. How about Corey Kluber in this World Series? Great in Game 1. Terrific in Game 4. He leaves leading 4-1. A chance for the Indians to add to it. First and third, nobody out. Travis Wood deals low to Jason Kipnis.
At some point, you almost feel like Davis could take second. The infield's in. I don't know if they concede it. Davis, good speed, left-hander on the mound.
Here's a 1-0. Good swing by Kipnis, a ball and a strike. Lackey went 5. 3 runs on 4 hits. 2 of the runs earned. Montgomery 2/3 of an inning. Justin Grimm now exits after 1/3. He leaves with 2 runners on. Hands that over to Travis Wood. Here's a 1-1. Ball 2. That's down for ball 3. The switch hitting shortstop Lindor on deck. Crowd here's trying to do anything it can to inspire their Cubs, but right now, total frustration. Here's a 3-1. High drive into right back at the wall. It is gone. Kipnis, a 3-run shot. And he busted open here in the 7th inning. from Northbrook, Illinois. And around the bases here at Wrigley Field, he's made it 7-1.
Discipline, discipline, discipline. He sat there, waited for his pitch, got to a 3-1, and you see what they're doing back home. They are absolutely loving this moment, as is Kipnis.
Still nobody out in the inning, and Lindor steps in. Strike one. Two home runs into right. One by Santana in the second. This one by Kipnis in the seventh.
The Cleveland Indians have put on a clinic in 2 games on how to put pressure into making other teams, especially here the Cubs, make mistakes. They've had runners on. They've executed when they needed to with runners on second, moving them over or getting a hit. They've waited out at bats, got the pitch they want, and they haven't missed it. Whereas on the other side, the Cubs frustrated because 3-2 counts, 2-2 counts. Corey Kluber kept making those pitches and got in and out of any trouble that he was in by executing fantastic sliders or curveballs.
Lindor sticks the bat out, grounds it to first, and Rizzo wins the race to the bag. Back to the home run.
Well, he waited out a 3-1 fastball. He gets it, and he doesn't miss it. I mean, this ball cuts through the wind, almost similar to Santana's home run. Perfect swing. Hard to believe that the Indians have out-homered the Cubs. What is that, 4-0 now?
Yeah. 2 tonight, and then the 2 by the catcher, Roberto Perez, in game 1. Cubs have yet to go deep in this series. Here's a good breaking ball in for a strike to Carlos Santana. The 29-year-old who grew up a Cubs fan, a little over a half hour north of here, has just blown it open. 7-1. Here's a rocket into left center field off the bat of Santana. Red hot. 3rd hit of the night. And these Indians are firing on all cylinders here in game 4. The reaction of Corey Kluber.
Yeah, watch your head. I've hit that many times in that low dugout. Jumping up for joy after somebody's done something. Oh, man.
And they're going crazy at Progressive Field back in Cleveland, as they are closing in on a 3-1 series advantage.
Well, like I said, this holds up. Kluber guaranteed one more start. Cleveland's hoping that he doesn't have to push to that start, and Chicago is pushed against the limit. An elimination game for the first time. John Lester will be on the mound trying to keep their teams, again, if they keep this 6-run lead. I'm a little surprised Miller's still up. With a 6-run lead, you might think they could have switched to somebody else, but he's coming in.
And I think the only thing Terry Francona would say to you is, we want to keep them down. Any little shot of life might change their feeling in the dugout, but I'm sure Francona wants to run his big 3 out there, or big 2 out there, and just slam this thing shut here tonight and go up 3-1.
Yeah, I see it. I see it, but it also could have multiple innings tomorrow too.
That's a strikeout for out number 2, as Jose Ramirez goes down swinging. And it's the other side of the coin, because tomorrow it's John Lester for Chicago against Trevor Bauer, who has had a tough time this postseason pitching deep into games. He's still got the lacerated pinky on his pitching hand. He'll have to handle the bat tomorrow night, which he didn't have to do in game 2. Here's Chisenhall. Lonnie has reached on an error, fly out, hit a sac fly. Strike 1.
Chisenhall had one of those productive outs. That's what I say at this time of the year. You've got to have productive outs. Sack fly, drives in a run. Ground ball to the right side, gets a runner over. Those are the things clubs have to seize. Whatever the other team gives you, you've got to take it.
Here comes a 1-1 to Chisenhall.
And the Indians have done it.
Strike two. Too far inside, according to the home plate umpire Marvin Hudson. 2-2. Full count. And Santana, the runner at first, will go. Bottom three in the lineup coming up for Chicago in the bottom of the seventh. In this inning, it's been a double by Crisp, a hit batsman, a pitching change, a 3-run homer. Off the bat of Kipnis, 3-2. Inning over. But the Indians are having fun again tonight at Wrigley Field as they lead by 6 into the 7th inning stretch. And now we join public address announcer Andrew Bellison.
Tonight's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, actor and Chicago native Vince Vaughn.
All right, Chicago. Sure as God made green apples, someday Chicago Cubs are going to be in the World Series. Well, here we are. Let's win this thing. Let's heat it up here in Wrigley. Help me sing loud enough so Harry can hear us. All right. A 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, 'cause it's root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame for everyone. We're out at the old ball game. Let's get some wood, Chicago. Let's do this. Let's do this. Here we go.
Miller. And for the Cleveland Indians, they have won just about every game this man pitches. And he comes in trying now with a 6-run lead to get some outs.
It will be for Chicago the bottom three in their lineup. That means Hayward, Baez, and a pinch hitter. Strike one on Jason Hayward. This is Terry Francona putting the pedal down here in the 7th inning of Game 4. From Kluber to Andrew Miller. Hayward chops to the right side. Kipnis, who just homered, makes the play. With Mike Napoli now at first base. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Bud Light, Lady Gaga's new album Joanne, available at Apple Music. And by Walmart, this Halloween, save on candy, costumes, and more at Walmart.
It's amazing when you get to the postseason, especially the World Series, having played in 4 of them, how the storylines change so quickly. How the team got here, all the success. And then when you don't have it, how quickly you can lose confidence in parts of your ball club. And when you get in a position, you just have to redefine the simple things, starting with tomorrow. Again, if the Cubs don't rally.
Baez takes a strike over the inside corner.
Because we've been in those situations, down 3-1, and all of a sudden something clicked, and we won 3 games in a row and rode that into the World Series. Been down before in the World Series facing elimination. You just have to trust your guys and not individually try to do anything more.
Well, the count goes to 0-2 on Javier Baez. And we welcome you inside our broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck along with John Smoltz. And this has been the Cleveland Indians so far, just putting on a clinic in games 3 and now 4. They'll pop up left side for Lindor. 2 out. And what Joe Madden talked to us about before the game was about how this young club is going to mature. And he said, you're going to see much better at bats as we go forward. But he's aware that this lineup trying to do a little bit too much right now.
Yeah, I remember asking him earlier, are you concerned about some bad habits or things that might come out of this? And he said, not really, but as you look back, and as he will look back, that point he made to us was directly to that. He says, guys will learn from this. We will get better. But he has prepared them for moments.
Here's Almora, line drive into right, and it's a quick and easy 6, now 7 pitch inning for Andrew Miller. And they come fast when Miller's on the mound. We go to the 8th inning. Indians will bat up by 6. The official vehicle of Major League Baseball, Chevrolet has earned more 2016 J.D. Power Dependability Awards than any other brand. Learn more at Chevrolet.com. Hector Rondon, former closer, now setup reliever, takes over in the 8th. It's Roberto Perez, then Brandon Geyer, then Mike Napoli, who's sitting in the number 9 spot against the right-hander Rondon. That misses. A ball and a strike to Perez, who has bounced back to the pitcher twice, once trying to bunt. Through a walk in the 6th inning. Here's a 1-1. 97 from Rondon. Strike 2.
Rondon, dominant closer before they acquired Chapman. Pushed down the line a little bit, strengthened their bullpen, and was out for a couple weeks. Forearm strain.
A strikeout starts the 8th. T-Mobile One in-game box score for the Cleveland Indians. You see Jason Kipnis with a double. He's got 3 RBIs, a couple of runs scored, a 3-run shot. It broke it open last inning. Lindor with a base hit. The damage has been done, not seen, but previously in the number 9 spot, Coco Crisp with a double and a run scored in that pinch hitting role. Here's a ground ball to short off the bat of Geyer. 2 out.
Well, if you're John Lester getting ready to face the Indians for the 2nd time here at home, you're basically saying, not on my watch. Regardless of what happens in this game, you want to be able to pitch your team a little bit deeper, 7 innings, and then hand it off to Chapman and take your chances in the next 2 games in Cleveland. You want to force a trip to Cleveland. If the Indians win this game, you certainly don't want that to be the last game your team plays.
With 2 out, Napoli takes low. If this series were to get past the matchup, at least in the beginning, of Trevor Bauer and John Lester, it's an off day on Monday. On Tuesday, Jake Arrieta against Josh Tomlin. If there's a game 7, and that's way down the road. Here's a high fly ball into left. Back at the wall off the back of Napoli. It's caught as the wind keeps it in the park. It would be Hendricks and Kluber in a game 7. Right now we go to the bottom of the 8th in game 4. All Cleveland up by 6. Cast is sponsored by the Ford Transit, built Ford tough. And by T-Mobile One, welcome to Unlimited Baseball. Bottom of the 8th inning, top of the lineup for Chicago. That means Dexter Fowler against Andrew Miller through 7 pitches to get through the 7th. Strike 1 on Fowler, who's 1 for 3.
Well, we talked with Andrew Miller and just asked him about, you know, the transformation from starter to closer and now super reliever. What clicked? How did he get more comfortable with throwing strikes? He said it wasn't one thing. He just became a little bit more fluid with his arm release, and the fastball slider combination as good as it gets. He's off that third base side of the rubber, barely got his foot out of his toe on the inside part of the rubber, and he's created a very difficult angle for right-handers with his length and arm.
97 for Andrew, who is working more this year than he ever has out of the bullpen in a big league season, but he said the adrenaline of the postseason is carrying him through. That and great stuff. 2-2. So Terry Francona is trying to get 2 innings out of Miller, and again with Trevor Bauer and John Lester, the scheduled starters tomorrow night on Sunday night, Game 5.
When you're left-handed that big and you throw to that many right-handers, you envision kind of a batter in the left-hander's batter's box to start your slider at when you're trying to backdoor it to right-handers. And then he just sees his break naturally going down and in to the back foot against right-handers. But it's all because they have to respect that 97-mile-an-hour fastball that makes that combination so deadly.
A 2-2. Hard hit, but foul. The numbers are sensational. Remember, picked up in season. 2 big prospects given up by the Cleveland Indians organization, and they are thrilled they did it. 8 appearances for Andrew Miller. 8 wins. When he comes out of the pen, the Indians win. 2-2. High fly ball to left center. Back at the wall. It's gone. And the Cubs are a run closer, and Miller's given up his first postseason run. It's 7-2.
One of the few bad sliders that Miller has thrown, and Fowler didn't miss it. Talked about the 368 gaps. That's where the ball will go. You got the big scoreboard in left and another scoreboard in right field.
Nobody on or out.
See, this ball's supposed to be buried in. It stays over the middle of the plate. Kind of know it when you let go. See the spin, not the sharp break that we're used to seeing.
Here's a 1-0. Hard hit, but foul off the bat of Chris Bryant.
And I understand it. I really do. I understand what Terry Francona is doing, but I just think multiple innings in this situation, more looks. See how it plays out.
That's to the second baseman Kipnis on the other side of the bag, and he gets the out. 1 away. Earlier this evening, to help recognize the culmination of its Priceless Causes campaign, MasterCard presented a generous $4,250,000 donation raised through its Priceless Causes campaign for Stand Up to Cancer by its co-founders. MasterCard would like to thank all of its cardholders across the United States and Canada who helped raise millions of dollars simply by dining out with their MasterCard and getting together for a priceless cause. With one out, nobody on. Here's Rizzo. He's had a nice night, been on base 3 times. Strike one, an RBI single. A stolen base in the first, hit by a pitch. Doubled to lead off the 6th inning, and Kluber pitched around it.
Finishing thought, what he was talking about was Miller. He said, once I went to the slide step at 6'8", 9", less movement, more command. The higher leg kick, more things can go wrong with his long lever and the delivery that he has. He has tremendous leverage being that tall, but the taller you are, the more things that can go wrong in your mechanics. So he basically said, once the slide step was introduced to me, I really haven't looked back.
Well, not much has gone wrong, period, for Andrew Miller in the postseason. 24 1/3 innings pitched in the postseason. No earned runs until the home run by Fowler. And now Rizzo strikes out. 2 out. With the bases empty, Zobrist will be the hitter. Tomorrow, the NFL on Fox kicks off at a special time as Washington battles Cincinnati live from London, followed by a full slate of games, including America's Game of the Week, as the Packers take on the Falcons. It all begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern on Fox. Due to the early start, Fox News Sunday is on at a special time of 8 a.m. Eastern. We will finish the day on Fox with Game 5 of this World Series. Trevor Bauer and John Lester. Zobrist took a ball. So at least 25 pitches tonight. Andrew Miller worked in last night's game. Went more than an inning and a third. As Zobrist fouls it out of play off to the right. Fewer than 20 pitches last night. A little more of an effort here tonight after taking over last frame. Trying to turn in 6 outs. The lead was 6. Now it's 5. What a weapon. Zobrist gets out. With 2 out. Ball 2.
Now, once they got Miller, winning the 5-inning battle has been unbelievable for Cleveland, and they won the 5-inning battle again today. Getting the lead and then turning it over to this pen.
Zobrist went around, and after throwing 17 pitches last night, 27 tonight, and Andrew Miller gets 6 outs, finally gives up a run, but it turns it into a 5-run Cleveland lead after 8 in Game 4. Another inning of work for Hector Rondon. Rajai Davis looks at ball one inside. Underway in the 9th inning with the Indians on top by 5, 7-2, trying to go up 3 games to 1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I just think about what the Indians have done. They don't have the biggest payroll. They have to hit on their trades and moves and pickups. Right now, that trade they made to Andrew Miller to the Yankees.
Here's one into left. Zobrist to his left and now in. 1 out.
It's intense. Playing in October magnifies every situation. You know, everybody's watching. It sets you up on a grand stage that allows you to do great things. It's probably the most fun baseball you can play.
Jason Kipnis, homegrown. He came up last inning, last time up in the 7th, hit a 3-run shot of Travis Wood that broke it open. Now it's a 7-2 game, and when he did that, he hit the first 3-run home run by an opposing player in a World Series at Wrigley Field since Babe Ruth back in 1932. One 1-0 pitch is lined into left, and Kipnis has had a big night. He's doubled, homered, and now singled. On with 1 out in the 9th. And I would say that ankle's feeling better. Here's some history for you.
Did you hear the sound of that bat?
Yeah, that might have been added after the fact. 37-year-old Babe Ruth. Here's the called shot. Was he yelling at the dugout? Was he calling his shot? Who knows? 2 home runs. Game 3 of the 32 World Series here at Wrigley. Here's one into right off the bat of Lindor. And the hits keep coming for the Cleveland Indians. And that combination of Kipnis and Lindor red hot.
You know, I was watching that game and Babe Ruth pointed to the dugout and said, "That's only strike 1." And then he pointed again and said, "That's only strike 2." So he knew he had another one, and he deposited it.
And then bang. 3-run home run of Charlie Root in the first inning. And this man was there. Retired Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens as a 9-year-old boy. In 1929, he attended his very first baseball game, which was Game 1 of the World Series. First World Series game ever played at Wrigley Field. And then 3 years later in the 32 series we're talking about, as Michael Martinez pinch hits, he was in the seats for the famous called shot by Babe Ruth. And the retired judge contends that Ruth did indeed point 2 fingers to the center field stands before crushing the next pitch in the outer reaches of the bleachers here at Wrigley.
All right, so I didn't see it, but I read it.
John Paul Stevens, 96, retired in 2010 from Chicago. It's Michael Martinez with 2 on and 1 out after back-to-back hits by Kipnis and Lindor. Rondon gets him over the outside, part 2 out. Second strikeout for Rondon as he tries to keep it a 5-run game. At last check, Dan Otero, the right-hander, was getting loose for the Indians in their bullpen. That means that Terry Francona, while he has used Andrew Miller for 2 innings tonight, didn't have to if he can get through the rest of this. With Otero touched Brian Shaw, who was so good last night, and Cody Allen is closer. Here's Jose Ramirez, strike 1. A note for Andrew Miller as he sits on the bench here in the 9th inning. He has struck out 29 hitters this postseason. That's the most ever by a reliever in a single postseason. Possibly more work to come. Here's the 0-1. Scooped up by Contreras, just knocked it down. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And oh, by the way, most of those coming in just incredibly high leverage situations, getting through the heart of an order. 1-run game. Terry Francona is not afraid to use him, and as he said, in those close games, he's not afraid to lose late. meaning if he puts in his big weapons early to keep the game at the best point.
Here's one into center. Over to his left is Fowler, and that ends the top of the 9th inning as Ramirez is retired. Bottom of the 9th inning, last chance for the Cubs here in Game 4, down by 5. Hauser from the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boys and Girls Club in Chicago delivered the game ball to the mound with former Cub Mark Pryor. Each year, MLB and Boys and Girls Clubs work together to create unique opportunities for nearly 4 million children and teens worldwide. To find out how you can help, go to greatfutures.org. Speaking of kids, earlier today, Major League Baseball held a play ball event for 275 kids at Cary Wood Cubs Field. Joined by Hall of Famers Ken Griffey Jr. and Fergie Jenkins. 2016 Roberto Clemente Award winner Curtis Granderson and former Cubs, including the aforementioned Cary Wood and Matt Clement. Visit playball.org to learn more. Off we go into the bottom of the 9th inning. Dan Otero on the mound for the Indians, trying to nail it down. Wilson Contreras takes a strike, and he's now 1 for 12, Contreras, in this World Series, and tonight 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts as Corey Kluber just had his way with him. A lot of breaking balls down and out of the strike zone. Counts 0-2.
And Contreras has been taking the first pitch. You saw him right there, bunt. It's one of the better pitches to hit, and then he just expands the zone after that. So a formula the Indians have been utilizing so far this series.
Easy chopper right side. Kipnis. 1 away. And an 0 for 4 night tonight for Wilson Contreras. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by the Ford Transit. Built Ford tough. By MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay. And by State Farm, here to help life go right. One out, nobody on. Here's Addison Russell 0 for 3. This will be a different looking Cub lineup tomorrow night for Game 5. David Ross figures to be in it, doing the catching for John Lester. And who knows what the rest of it will look like for Joe Madden, who's got to change it up. There have been some not so great at bats tonight by these young Cub hitters. Tremendous pitching by Kluber, then Miller, now Otero. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, there has, and they've exposed again the weakness of some of the young players. And there's Kyle Schwarber, who was not cleared to play the outfield.
That's strike 2.
Just hoping he gets an opportunity to get back to Cleveland and utilize the DH position.
Indians 2 outs away from a 3-1 series advantage. And winning back-to-back games here at Wrigley. All the history and all the energy in this ballpark and outside this ballpark. And last night it was the pitching of Tomlin, Miller, Shaw, and Allen. Tonight, Corey Kluber worked his magic again.
I'll be very intrigued to see if Joe Maddon decides to talk to the team tonight or tomorrow. He rarely gives these kind of meetings. He says he likes the guys to be normal and not create a scenario where there's a sense of urgency or a feeling like you got to put them on edge. Opening day talk, second half talk, and the first day of the postseason are pretty much the 3 different talks he gives.
Still 1-2 on Russell. Meanwhile, the manager in the other dugout bringing Kluber back. Terrific tonight. Santana got the call at first base, hit a game-tying home run, had a 3-hit night. And the last 10 teams up 3-1 have been winners in the World Series. Russell is on with 1 out here in the 9th. And it will give Hayward a chance to bat with a man aboard.
And you could see that right there. Just that little breath of air coming out of Russell. He needed that. He needed that to feel good, at least moving into tomorrow. He hit a breaking ball, something he hasn't been able to do. You could see him just kind of, thank you.
Jason Hayward 2 for 3 tonight. Little flare into left. That ball might drop. Out to get it is Lindor. Throw behind the runner. Back safely is Russell, who will stay put with 2 out. Almost doubled up as Lindor went a mile to catch that pop-up.
Yeah.
Also, Russell slid in to look like the shoe or something, flexing his right hand.
Look how far Lindor goes on the dead run. Caught it head high. And has the presence of mind to try and double up Russell.
Yeah, that right hand catches the spikes in the bottom half of Napoli's shoes, so maybe just scraped it up a little bit.
So now with 2 out, here's Javier Baez, who made the final out last night in a 1-0 game, strike 1. And now Terry Francona is 1 out away from being 11-1 managing in the World Series. All the scrutiny, the decisions, the tension, he handles it extremely well. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's really when his personality comes out. And he has the ability to keep his team loose, say the right thing, not panic. He can laugh at himself.
Yeah, the only thing he did say is yesterday was such a stressful game, he didn't enjoy any of it.
He said for the first time. Strike 2. And the Cubs down to their final strike. Schwarber on deck. Baez at the plate. 1-2. Back to Otero, and the Indians are now up 3-1 and 1 win away from their first World Championship since 1948. A 7-2 win here in Game 4. every phase of the game. Impressive tonight. You could say the same last night for the Indians, who've won back-to-back games here at Wrigley.
Well, every team that wins a championship has something unique you can't always measure. Certainly you can look at statistics, but inside the clubhouse they have something very unique, and they believe in themselves despite their injuries, and they are a confident bunch that was not one bit intimidated as they marched through Boston, Toronto, and one game away from the Chicago Cubs.
How about Corey Kluber, 2-0 in this World Series, and he goes to 4-1 this postseason. He has pitched 12+ innings, and he has allowed just 1 run to the Chicago Cubs, and it came tonight in the first inning. And that lead was gone in a blink when Santana homered in the top of the second, and the Indians were off and running. That's the scene here at Wrigley. There's the scene at Progressive Field back in Cleveland. They're 1 win away, and we go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Jason, the last visiting player to hit a 3-run homer in the World Series at Wrigley Field was Babe Ruth. Being a local guy, what does that mean to you?
Everything. That's amazing. Haven't been going the way I wanted to at the plate, but I've been just plugging away, staying at it, because I know one at bat might be big. And tonight found something a little bit again, and came up huge. The offense finally bailed out our staff.
You grew up coming to games here. What would it be like to win the World Series at Wrigley Field?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Can you imagine it?
I'm starting to. I got a lot of friends and family here. And to be able to do it in Chicago, that mean a lot.
Last question. The reception you got in the dugout, what was that about?
That's been my home run cheer. I think a bunch of guys have a bunch of different ones, and mine's kind of been like the wedding chair, basically, where you get hoisted up and get carried through and give some high fives, but everyone's got some different ones, so that's my fun one.
All right, Jason, congratulations. Joe, back to you.
That's great. The wedding chair. Is that a new one for you?
That's a new one for me.
What a night tonight for Jason Kipnis. A 3-hit night. Corey Kluber gets the win. 2-0 in this World Series, and the Indians are 1 win away from their first World Championship since 1948. Let's send it over to Kevin Burkhardt and the guys on the set.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. Still a party out here in Wrigleyville, but it's almost an Indians party for real. 3-1, they now lead this World Series. Another dominating pitching performance from the Indians tonight. Frank Thomas, Pete Rose, Alex Rodriguez, and I'm Kevin Burkhardt. We got a lot to do in this postgame coming your way here on Fox. Interviews from the field. We'll go back and have plenty of those for you. Alex Rodriguez will tell you, even though it's 3-1, why it's not over for the Cubs and how they can come back in this World Series. But it is all Cleveland so far. Yeah, the World Series back in Wrigley for the first time in 71 years, but the Indians have shut it down. These fans still going, though, in Chicago. Their hope for their Cubbies. The postgame show on Fox. We're back.